Welcome to Ninon Speak. Are we on yet?
Yes.
Didn't count me in.
Sorry.
That's
Because you interrupted
okay.
me.
Welcome to Ninon Speaks Media Image. You're going to be with me for the next hour, but not only with me, you're going to be with my guest. I've got an incredible guest. His name is Barry Lindstrom. Now, he's known as the Maverick Adaptive Design Scientist. Now, I've never heard of a title like that, so I guess we're going to find out. He's had an interesting background. He started out, I have to laugh at this because it says he started out cleaning tables. Well, I guess this was when he was a teenager, and I think maybe all of us in our teenage lives have cleaned tables, washed floors, worked at McDonald's. We've done various things that we really didn't want to do. But to get through an education and to get what we want to get and to get the knowledge, there's certain things we have to do. Before I go any further, I'm not going to talk about anything else. I want Barry Lindstrom to come right on in. Hey, Barry, how are you?
Very well.
Good. It's I've been reading all about you, and you are just a fascinating man in a world that we need people like you in.
Thank you.
To sort this world out, because I think we're all getting extremely confused and very independent of anybody else, and sort of with our cell phones and everything else, we're becoming quite loners. So let's just go back into this, into you, who is the Maverick. How are you? So let's go back into your childhood of when you sort of started really finding out what you wanted to be and what you wanted to do.
Well, I was raised in a very traditional family with Scandinavian roots, and raised in a Lutheran church that was founded by my grandfather.
Wow.
My great grandfather, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So my grandmother was the matriarch of the church, and we had to do everything according to what the church wanted us to do.
And what your mom and dad wanted you to do.
Yeah, well, it was primarily driven by, okay, this is Grandma's rule, you go to church. And
keeping the family name up, right?
Right. And one of my pastors at the church during my communion years, my confirmation years, gave me a Bible with my Bible verse in it. And this was awarded to me. This was the Bible verse that he decided was mine, and it's from 1 Timothy, and the message was, do not neglect the gift you have, for it was given to you by your elders.
When he gave that to you, and did you know the gift you had? Did you recognize it at that young age? You probably did.
I had no idea what he was talking about.
How come he knew and you didn't?
And I actually communicated with him later much later in life. I tracked him down and I said, "What does this mean? I've been going around for 40 years and I don't know what this means." And he basically said that he felt that I had a gift for writing, and that I should not neglect that gift, no matter, with all of the pressures to become an engineer or to become this or to become that. You know, you have a gift for writing and telling stories, and he felt I should not neglect that gift. And so as it turned out, not knowing that that's what I was supposed to be doing, I was actually doing that very much on the side.
He gave you an unknown message that you actually had within yourself that you had to actually manifest without even knowing. Why do you think you had that gift, and why do you think, you know, I do believe that we're all given with a gift. It's just a matter we have to find it. And then he definitely confused you by telling you you've got one there, but what is it? Like,
yes. Don't neglect it. Don't neglect what?
What am I going to neglect? But no, we all have gifts, and sometimes we take longer to find them. You didn't. You were actually, but you didn't even know that was your gift. You just did what was in your heart and what you felt easy at. How do you think you accomplished that? Because so many young people today are so confused as to where they're going and what they're doing.
Well, my whole life has been built around kind of signs. If I go down the wrong path, if I start to pursue a career or a particular project that just isn't right for me, or it's not what I'm supposed to be doing, I run into a lot of roadblocks. Now, sometimes you look at those roadblocks and you say, oh, I need to overcome these roadblocks to truly become what I'm supposed to become. But many times you find yourself, you know, I'm really not supposed to be here. I really shouldn't be doing this. There's a really, really good phrase from Buckminster Fuller, where he said, if you're doing what nature intended for you to do, nature will provide. And when I read that, I kind of held on to that for most of my life. It's like that seems to be right. If you're going down the right path and you're doing what you're supposed to do, things just kind of fall into place.
How would you know that, though? I mean, is it because it comes easier or easy for you to actually do it, or is it because you just know that that's what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, in my experience, it's more of a destiny thing. It's like, okay, yeah, this fits. It works. It just feels right. I'll give you the best example that really is this home for me. I met a woman, a young lady, when I was 18 years old at a party. We really hit it off. We had an excellent conversation, but she left the party. I didn't get her phone number. It was in a different city, not where I was raised. I had no idea how to get in touch with this woman, didn't know anything about it. And I was going to school about 6 months later in February. And it was frigid cold, and I parked my car. It was a commuter campus. I parked my car at a place I would normally not park my car. And I started to walk towards a door that was closest to me. And something inside me said, nah, going to that other door over there. So I had to walk through the snow and through the cold to get to this more remote door. I opened that door. I walked in the door. I'm walking down the hallway. I passed 3 open classrooms. When I hit the 4th open classroom, I glanced in the door. At the exact same time, that young lady was in that classroom, looked up, and was looking out the door. That young lady.
That's not a coincidence.
Right, exactly. That convinced me these are not coincidences. There's a plan here. There's something going on. So at that point, I said, okay, this is it. I'm going to marry this woman. Wow. And actually, about 6 or 7 months later, we got married.
So you were actually only 18 or 19 at that time, probably?
Right.
19, and she was what, at the same probably age? And you got married at 19?
Yes.
And I believe you're still married after, what, 45 years or something?
43, right. It'll be 43 in November.
What, 5 children?
Three children, 6 grandchildren.
6 grandchildren. And you've had the most beautiful marriage, because it was something, you didn't really mess around or do anything. I mean, you were just, you just knew that this is.
I knew that was the right thing to do. Yeah.
And you took it. You took it.
Yep.
You know, a similar thing happened to me many, when I was 17, and to a guy and myself, and we had this incredible attraction. We never did anything about it, but over the life, we kept meeting. And then 40 years later, we met again. And it's like we keep meeting each other, and it's like, you know, hello, how many times do you have to meet? Now, of course, we're now older. Now we're really skeptical of what's going on because of everybody. These things are sometimes meant to be. I mean, I truly believe in that. So, did that kind of form your life of being very, very stable?
Yes. Well, it actually settled me down, because I had no idea what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know what my gift was. I was going to go off and pursue things, and so we got married. This was in the early 70s, when no one was getting married. Everybody was living together, or doing serial monogamy. However,
what made you decide to make this legal and to make her? Because a woman loves to be honourable. She likes to be married. She really doesn't want to live with a guy. Women really don't want to live with guys. They really want to get married, but they feel if they live with them, they can really let them know who they are, and then they get married. Why did you not want to do that?
Hey, the signs were there. This was my responsibility. I had to do this. I had to marry her, and that was just the way we were. We've had an incredible life together. We've had some serious issues in terms of earning a living that we've had to deal with, but our relationship has been just fantastic. It just made sense. It's like, God and nature are telling me to do this. Who am I to argue with them?
No, well, I wouldn't definitely argue with him since it's lasted all this time and you're happy, you're still together, still compatible, and obviously understand each other very, very well. And I think that's amazing. So was she the one that actually helped you create your career?
Actually, what happened was we went to school, and I had kind of floundered in school, changing majors, not sure what I was supposed to do. And I looked at my life and I said, look, I can either get an education in something that I think I want, or I can get an education that will get me a job. And because I now had family responsibilities, and we actually had one child 2 years later while we were still in school, I said, I've got to get a job. So I chose a career in accounting because I was absolutely guaranteed a job in accounting. If I got a degree in accounting, I could get a job with no problem, and I did. I had 7 job offers when I got out.
You actually took on your responsibilities like a man should, and you did that at such a young age, having all this knowledge to do that. I think that's just amazing. But you were more concerned of raising your family and keeping them and helping them and doing what you needed to do as a man than you were of your own need, which was your writing.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Which is what you absolutely love. Now, I'm looking how you said you're considering Someplace Else. I love that title, and that's an incredible title. That's the title of what was that? Your first book, second book?
This is the first and only novel that I've written. I've written hundreds of technical documents and training manuals and things like that. But I got after 9/11, I got laid off. I was working at Lucent, and Lucent had a disastrous post 9/11 operation, and they basically were shutting down the company, and I lost my job. So while I was trying to figure out where am I going to get a job, because the other thing we had done was, because my wife had given up her academic career in order to raise the family, I promised her that she could get her degree as soon as we got the kids settled. So she went back to school, and she was actually back in school, and she still had a year to go, and I'm sitting here laid off. So I said, okay, I'm collecting employment. We have enough money to get through and pay the rent and that kind of.
Yeah.
Going to start writing a story, and that's where the first chapter came from. This was 2001, and then and it's written from the standpoint of, why do these things keep happening to me? Because my career, my professional career has been dotted with companies leaving me, not me leaving the companies. Yeah, so they're going out of business, they're shutting down.
So this particular time, you were very confused into your life as actually where was it going and why was all these things happening to you?
Right. So
in your head meant you had to reorganize.
Exactly, and that's why I started to write the story. I said, well, this is the way it should work. And so I started to write the story about the way it should work. And within, I'd say, a week, I got a phone call and I had another job. So I set the title aside, and I went off to, or the first chapter aside, and I went off to do regular systems work. I did the regular systems work. Then we were in Florida at the time. We moved back to Arizona, and I got a job in Arizona. Was doing very well. Everything was going fine, and I happened upon another coincidental thing. I was looking for, I said, I've always wanted to play piano, so I went to look for piano lessons at the community college to see if they had them. and I came across this thing. You were born to be published was the
Wow.
title of the class, and it was a one-day class on a Saturday. And I said, what the heck? I'll go take care of it. I'll go look at it. So, so I signed up for that, and then at the same time, I got another email after I signed up for that. I got an email that said there's a writing coach available at the local bookstore. For $25, she can evaluate your writing. So I pulled out the chapter. I sent the chapter to the writing coach. I walk in the day to talk to the writing coach. Writing coach says to me, "You wrote this? How does this end? I have to know how this ends. This is." Well, that's it. That's all there is. There's one chapter. So I followed that up with the "You Were Born to Be Published," and within 60 days I had written the whole thing.
So what that man wrote in the testimony and your little poem, your little what he wrote in the Bible, it was actually meant for you, and it actually came true.
Yes, absolutely. I feel very much like that. So I felt the actual accomplishment to me was finishing the book, finishing the story, and then I published it electronically. I didn't even put it out on print, and I had phenomenal response. I made a lot of money publishing electronically. All my friends and family said, "I want to read it on a computer. I want to read it on a piece of paper. I want a book."
Real thing.
So I took the money that I made from the electronic copies, and I had it self-published through a company called Dog Ear Publishing. And the book came out. Everybody loves the book. This was 7 years ago, and I'm still having people come up to me going, "I have to read your book. I have to read your book. Can I get a copy of it?"
So physics. Exactly what is physics? I mean, people get, I think, very confused about what physics really is, and why is it there, and why do we have this word, and why you made a statement here. If nature intended you to if you wanted nature to intend it, then nature would provide.
Right.
So how does all this work with our everyday life now?
Well, in my early career, I tried very hard to keep my job, and it wasn't meant to be that I would be in that position. I was supposed to go somewhere else and do something else. So what I've done now is I've just said, "Okay, nature, as long as I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, I'm going to keep the job I have, and I'm going to be able to do all these other things." And for the last 8 years, that's been my philosophy. I just let go. One of the priests at the local church here has a thing: you let go and let God.
Let God take care of it. So you're actually bringing into this, you're bringing a little religion into it, but you don't necessarily have to be religious to actually follow this path either, do you?
Oh no, not at all. It's a very much a belief in powers that are beyond us, that we do not control everything that goes on in our lives. Some things happen to you for a reason, and you need to recognize that those things are happening and follow up on it.
And fight them. I guess what you've got to do really within your body is not to fight. I mean, we always try to fight for the extreme, or we have to fight for whatever we think we have to fight for, which as you just said, we don't have to. So, in other words, what you're saying is just to sort of kind of let go. Let go and kind of let it take care of itself.
Exactly.
So people cannot do that, though.
Well, no, I think everybody can. I think you can. You just have to sit back and go, "Okay, well, there's absolutely nothing I can do to change this. So I just have to let it go and find out what it is I'm supposed to do next." And it just I can't say enough the last 10 years of my life that's exactly the way I lived it.
You let go and you let it. It's funny you should say that, because I have been living my last 10 years like that. And I have no reason why. I don't understand it, but it's like it's not that I let go, because I don't think I had anything to let go. Well, I did. I had a few problems. I had my husband died, my mother died, and my father died, all within my husband and my father died within 2 weeks. And so I did have a lot to go on. Then my mother, she had a stroke, and then she wasn't coherent. She died later. But the whole thing was very tragic. But I sort of looked at it in a completely different way. I look at a lot of things in a different way, because there's nothing I can do about them dying except to try to remember the beautiful times we had and how they were and what they were. So I had an awful lot of letting go, so I didn't have to really worry too much about holding on to something that wasn't there.
Yes.
It had gone. So how do we get people to sort of, because they seem to mourn and they go on, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Well, one of the questions that was asked of me in an interview after I wrote the book was, what is the responsibility of the author in writing? What is it that you want to get across, or what is the responsibility of the author to get across? And my response to that was, it's a matter of perspective. You need to. There's a gentleman named Richard Feynman, physicist, and he said perspective is worth 80 IQ points. So in other words, it's on how you look at things, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I feel, and this is what I tried to do in the book, is to get people to consider different perspectives. Take yourself out of your tunnel vision, the way you've been looking at things your whole life, or for the last 10 years, or whatever it is, and say, if we just made this little change over here, we could be off doing this instead. Or why do we spend so much money on tobacco subsidies in this country? Why are we still paying tobacco subsidies when there are significant things that we could be doing with that money that is better spent? Why didn't we rebuild New Orleans as the city of the future instead of just patching it up? Why didn't we take as a sign that, nature's going to keep kicking our ass until we start to live in harmony with her, and
we get it right.
let's do something right here. Let's do this the way it should be done. And I just want people to consider those things. You don't necessarily have to act on it. You just have to start to get a little different perspective on how things are going and the way things should work.
And you're so right on that, because it's funny. Say you've got your car's going wrong and it's clunking along, and you say, "Oh, I'll fix it later. I'll fix it later." In the meantime, it's getting worse and worse and worse. And instead of fixing something right at the right time, or getting it done properly, you're putting a patch on it, and that really never works, does it?
Not really. It just keeps it running for until the next time you have to deal with it, and at some point you have to say, all right, look, we got to deal with this head on. We got to figure out how to fix this.
And that's like dealing with your mind. That's like saying, I'm going to change, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then it's always tomorrow. Or you go on a diet, it's always on a Monday. Monday never comes, tomorrow never comes. These days never arrive. They're all in the distance somewhere. And so we never really sort of get to that. Why do we tease ourselves with that? Why do we do that to our brain? Because I'm very involved with the brain, and that's all connected with the brain of what we think, how we think, and what we do, and how we could make our life so much easier by we have been given the thought of changing it, but why do we keep putting it off?
Oh, there's an excellent book. It's called Quantum Leap Thinking. Have you?
I've heard of it. I haven't read it, but I've heard of it.
It's most excellent. I read that book probably 25 years ago. The gentleman who wrote it is still around, and I communicate with him periodically, but he basically goes into how these things occur in your brain and how you can fix them. And so it's an excellent book.
Is it a matter of concentrating, or is it a matter of willpower, or is it a matter of just trying to get yourself out of this gutter and get yourself into really thinking right? Because I work on myself all the time with this, because I like to try to get everything done so that I don't have those things hanging on, so that my brain can sort out more things that come along and the bigger things I'm trying to handle.
Yeah, well, he very definitely has the same philosophy of letting things go, and perspective. But his his primary thing is to think the thoughts, think about the things that you really want to happen in your life instead of the things that have happened or the mistakes you've made or those kinds of things. Think about the kinds of positive things that you want to occur in your life, and you will attract positive thoughts into your head. You will notice things that you didn't notice before that fit into that mindset. And it's kind of power of positive thinking, but it's not that structured. It's more of a just think the thoughts of the thing you want to attract into your life, and
the things you want to move forward, the things you want to move forward with. And what about bringing other people into your life that you haven't kind of had, and you bring them in and you start sort of, talking about things you really like to do or what you want to do, and it all becomes very positive, and it all becomes very and then that gives you the energy.
Yeah, and you have to be careful about that, because I have a lot of people, a lot of friends of mine who are very skeptical about anything that I'm trying to do. And so you have to be able to defend yourself in those situations. But I do have a few adamant supporters. My wife is one of them.
That's probably one you really trust. That's probably one you really you really know 100% that one is for you.
Right.
And I've written something down here, and it's saying, and what I had written down was that when you give a lot of lectures and you do a lot of consulting, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So when you go out there and you do a lot of consulting, you've either got the people to like you personally as a person and to really sort of, I like this guy. And then you've also got to have, and then if they don't like you, then you've got to have what you say they've got to like. So you've got like two little things going here. So you've got to sell yourself first, but that doesn't mean if you don't sell yourself, you have to have the knowledge that they have come to listen to you for.
Well, my success has been more in the area of disaster recovery. People have spent money, companies have spent a lot of money, they've done a whole bunch of things that they thought they were supposed to be doing, and it's collapsed completely. And then after they've spent all the money, they call me in and say, "Can you do this for less?" And well, yeah, all right. But my approach is to come in and tell them, look, all we're trying to do is make the right thing the easiest thing to do. And as long as you make the right thing the easiest thing to do, people will do it. If you make the wrong thing the easiest thing to do, people are going to do that. So let's make the right thing the easiest thing.
So what you do, you really teach them to be able to say you've got this company and you've got the manager, the president, whoever's the one that's in charge of all these people. He's the one that's actually got to tell the people in the nicest possible way and very clear way as to what he wants. If he's fuddled in his brain as to what he wants, he can't put that to them. He can't tell them what they want because he can't even get it out.
Yeah, and not only that, but there are people who have been schooled in doing things a certain way. There's an excellent thing, I call it the parable of the ham. Have you heard this?
I haven't heard that at all, no.
Okay.
I have not heard that.
The parable of the ham, there's a little girl at her Christmas dinner. Mom's preparing Christmas dinner, and she's watching her mother prepare the ham. And she cuts the ends off the ham, and she puts the ham in the pan, and she puts the pan in the oven. And she says, "Mom, why did you cut the ends off the ham?" And the mother goes, "Well, I don't know. That's the way my mother always taught me to do it." So the little girl goes and finds her grandmother and says, "Grandma, why do you cut the ends off the ham before you put it in the oven?" "Oh, I don't know, but that's the way my mother always did it." So she goes and finds her great-grandmother, and she says to the great-grandmother, "Why do you cut the ends off the ham before you put it in the oven?" And she says, "Well, I don't know why your mother's doing it. I didn't have a pan that was big enough for the ham."
That is absolutely beautiful. But
yeah,
it took a small mind to get that out there.
I tell that story to the executives, and I say, "Are you cutting the ends off the ham here, or are you actually cooking the
You
ham the
actually
way
know
you're
what
supposed to cook
you
it.
actually know what you're doing, and
Yeah.
that's a prize example. So, do you find a lot of companies now, big corporation and companies, have no idea how to run a business?
Um, no, they have ideas on how to run a business.
Or
It's
maybe
just
the
the
wrong way.
ideas may or may not be correct. I see a lot of things that are going on that are fashion. It's the fashion to do this or the fashion to do this. We just had big problems this last week with data being put on the cloud, which is
Yes.
a euphemism for a centrally controlled spot, right? And you put it on the cloud, and somebody gets in there and finds all your information. So why would you do that?
And yet
Well,
people keep doing it.
it's the fashion.
Because
It's
that's what everybody does.
yeah.
Everybody talks about the. You're talking. I think you're talking about those nude photographs of something. Are you talking
Yes.
about that?
Well, yeah.
That's
Well,
all these movie stars. But why would you put anything like that if you've taken nude photographs of yourself and your husband or whatever in the house? Why would you put it? Why would you take a photograph of it? Number one, a video of it. Number two, and then put it on the internet.
yeah. Put it on the internet.
What is this? I don't care where you put it. Someone's going to find it. Why
Yeah.
would anybody in their right mind do that? That boggles me.
But what's really interesting to me? There were the stories in the news for the last 3 days have been all about the nude photography. But
Yes.
over the weekend, the 5 major banks got hacked. And
Really?
the Russians found some Russian team hacked in and got 1.2 billion people's user IDs and passwords on the 5 largest banks. Now that story, they told it, but they didn't really talk about it. But hey, nude photographs, we got to talk about that. We got to.
Well, it's funny you say that because you talk about the nude photographs and then you look about what's going on in this world, and the nude photographs really mean nothing to anybody except they're embarrassed.
Right.
But when you look at what's going on in the world and what's happening, which is far more important, which I do say that we don't want to hear bad news all the time, but that was bad news too for the people that got the photographs out there. But
Right.
when there's far more important things to put out there, or even far more, there's a lot of happy things to put out there, and we never get that. So why are our minds always sort of into sort of the bad side, always into the sad side? Always, it's nothing. What's wrong with us? Or do we need to be reinvented again, or do where do we go for that?
I've coined a term in my blog. I call it protent instead of content.
Protank. Okay, yes.
All right, and to me, content not necessarily bad, but it's somebody generally trying to con you out of what you have. Oh, send me $1 and I will give you the secrets to winning the lottery. Send me $50 and I will show you how to win at the horse track. Or I will send me $5,000 and I'll show you how to make money in the stock market while you sleep. To me, that's all content, right?
Well, nothing's going to happen. You're not going to make any money while you sleep, because if you can't make your own money, how do you expect somebody else to make it for you and keep it? And that's so funny, because I used to have friends of mine, girlfriends, and they were trying to raise money, and they would go to these foundations that really had no money. And I said, why are you going to a foundation that has no money? And if they do get any money in, do you think they're going to give it to you? And they immediately sort of think, well, of course they're going to give it to me. But when people realize, I think when we realize or understand more of what we're doing, which is what you're talking about, get more into our heads as to what we're doing and where we're going, and if we do this, what are we going to gain out of it, and do we want to gain what we want and what we need?
Well, I think the possibilities are pretty much unlimited if we merely consider the possibilities of putting our resources someplace else. I really think that's the answer. We got to stop this cut the ends off the ham mindset that's throughout the country, throughout the world, in a lot of places, and start saying, look, guys, how do we fix this? How do we make this better? Let's stop worrying about everything that's wrong, and let's start worrying about how we can fix it, how we can make it go better, how we can make it work better. And that's basically what I attempted to do with the book. And just, talking about quote coincidence again, I got an email about 6 weeks ago from a writer in Hollywood.
Mhm.
He's a writer, director, producer. He was asking if I wanted to make my book into a movie.
And what was your answer?
Absolutely. I was trying to write the script myself, but I don't have the skill set yet to do that. So I was trying to figure out, okay, how can I learn how to write a script? And then here's this guy saying, well, I'll write the script for you. So he sent me back a treatise on the novel after he read it, and he absolutely nailed it. He understood everything that I was looking for, everything that I wanted to express in the book. And because he's a skilled Hollywood insider, he knows how to turn that into a movie that people will go see.
We'll go see.
So hopefully we can change some people's minds when we get a movie out there.
You will. What is the greatest thing you feel that would really get hold of a lot of people, and that you could change in a positive way? What is your? Because I feel like I'm sitting next to you. I feel that you have this incredible energy to want better for people, and you want more for people. And I truly feel that you want to get rid of all those things that are a waste of time in their mind. And try. How can you? What is the way you feel you could do that?
Well, a very good friend of mine once told me that people are not unified by a common purpose as much as they're unified by a common hatred. Okay. They want to hate something, and if you look at elections and you look at what's going on in the Middle East and everything, it's not that these people they want to get behind something and hate it. We got to. This is a so. My feeling is let's play on that, but let's make waste the enemy.
Okay.
If we hate waste, if everybody were to hate waste, hate the waste of people, hate the waste of resources, hate the waste of time, hate waste, we're going to be a much better society. And we should be able to get unified behind that, because everybody go, I hate that waste. Oh, damn waste. Let's put all of these political negative ads and everything. Let's make it about waste. Let's not make it about, the individual.
And that's like politics right now, which I don't very rarely talk about politics, but we're so split in the country. The Republicans are talking so badly about Obama, and then the Democrats are talking so badly about the Republicans that we're not, before, I've never seen it so much as this particular time, that everybody is so split. Before it was a little bit easier, they work together, or, whoever the president.
There was compromise, yeah.
We compromise, and we would have respect for the president. It seems like nobody has any respect for the president at the moment, and that's the message coming out on the media. Why are we doing that? And I'm not knocking media, because I love media, but everything is so sort of so knocking everything.
Well, the goal of politics right now is to instill fear and hatred in you. It's
they've done that.
Fault. That's what they're doing. And I'm saying, okay, you want to instill fear and hatred? Let's be afraid of waste, and let's hate it, and let's let that be the enemy, because waste deserves to be hated.
And the worst thing you can possibly do is waste your mind.
Right. Absolutely.
So for our viewers out there that are probably very fascinated about you, and where could they reach you, and where can they get your one and only book, because it sounds like it's a pretty good hit if they want to make a movie about it and you, where can they reach you?
I have a blog at SomeplacElse.com, so they can just send to Barry at SomeplacElse.com. I'll get it. I also have a TV production company that I've tried to get going a couple of times with my son. It's called LaughingBear.tv, and you can send to Barry at LaughingBear.tv. That's there as well.
Okay.
But if you just go to SomeplacElse.com, that's my blog. I have neglected it over the last probably year or so. I used to put things in there at least once a week, and now it's gone to maybe once a month. And but I want to get back to that, because I came up with this new term that I'm calling granderkind.
What is granderkind? I like the grander. What's the grand and the kin? What?
Well, you've heard of wunderkind, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So this is, instead of a
Perfect.
child, it's an aging adult. It's an elder. It's a granderkin. We have a lot of ideas and a lot of solutions that are honed in experience throughout our lives. There's a lot of kids out there who can outcode me from now until
Absolutely.
doomsday, but I know how to build the right stuff. They may or may not be building the right stuff. So I'm trying to find other granderkins that are out there and promote them and say, hey, this guy's got an idea about how to do this, and he's 67 years old and he sits in a room and doesn't have anybody to talk to about it, and so
I'm
hey,
going to
let's
talk to
let's
him.
let's tap these resources, right?
Ask
And
you a question on we've got the older generation where you and I and a lot of us are on the older side, and then we've got the younger generation. We've got the people in between that are kind of floating. Our younger generation are very creative. They're extremely knowledgeable on the technology side of life, which is the internet and all this blogging and everything else. Why are we not using them more, and why are we not giving them the encouragement? Because we're always saying how stupid and idiotic they are because they don't say please, thank you, and all this. But their intelligence, I mean, like you said, there's a lot of them can do far more with the computer that you can't do. And maybe you can, but on a general, the older people don't. They just, they do what is limited to what they want to do. They don't have to go into it all. But they are so brilliant, and I love them, and I've got their back. Why don't we promote them more?
well, part of the problem is there was a quote from I think it was Buzz Aldrin, and he said they promised us flying cars and trips to Mars, and
Hmm?
instead we have Facebook and Twitter.
Well, they fly, and they do fly
And
to Mars sometimes.
so, I mean, to me, what the younger generation is spending their time on is communicating with these devices. They're
Yes.
they're texting back and forth. They're posting pictures. They're trying to get likes, on their Facebook pages, and that's all well and good, but it's not really advancing any thought process,
None of
any
it.
new ideas,
None of it.
any increased productivity in the marketplace. It's not doing any of that, and a lot of these people are just. It's like, okay, that's fine. You can spend your time doing that, but don't you want to do something that's going to produce something that is actually going to build something? And I have, within the job that I have now, I have some 20 somethings and some 30 somethings and some 40 somethings that kind of report to me. They don't directly report to me, but I am able to influence them and show them, okay, look, yeah, you can do that, but what if you did it this way instead? What if you considered this other perspective? And as soon as I shift their perspective, they're like totally on
Oh,
board. They're like, wow, this is great. Why didn't anybody ever show me this? It's because you're too busy
well,
on
maybe
Facebook. You're
Well,
posting
maybe
your
they
pictures.
never asked. I mean, maybe they never asked, or maybe they didn't
Yeah.
bother. But now they're coming to you as an older person, you being the older person, they're coming and they're learning from you, and they're understanding from you, which really should be you learning from them, but it's not because of your knowledge over the years. Some things never change.
Yeah, well, the fact that they can do things, the fact that I can have a telephone that I can text somebody, or I can video conference with somebody on a telephone, that's really nice. That's really good.
Yeah.
But it doesn't really. I mean, the fact that we're sitting here talking, having an interview with video communications, that's excellent. I mean, that's really good. But
Well, at least we're communicating.
we need to, yeah, we need to get the information out, that we're communicating here, and if somebody posts a picture of a cheese sandwich that they made on Facebook, does that really matter? Is that really anything that anybody cares about? Or that you were the first one to get your picture of your cheese sandwich on Facebook? You know, is that?
And you are so right, because I have actually done a little bit of the Facebook and the Twitter and everything else, and I've analyzed this whole thing, and I've actually looked at it, and I thought, well, wait a second, now where is all this getting me? Okay, so I get somebody who a Twitter likes me, and then I've got to waste some time by opening it up and following them and liking them. So and after a while I'm thinking, well, what am I'm getting more friends and more people that I don't even know. I have no idea who a lot of these people are. Where is this getting me in business, or where is this getting me in where I want to go? And I've figured it out that it's really getting me nowhere, and it is social media. It's sociably. You're being social. Yeah. And that's exactly what it is, and is saying exactly what it is and meaning nothing else. But so many young people evolved in all this that I think they're losing out on life as actually having their own career, like you found your career, you worked for it, you got married young, you took your responsibility as a man, then you took your responsibility, you now got a baby, and you took this whole responsibility regardless of whether your wife was going to work or not, but you took on that responsibility. I don't see that these days.
No, the opportunities. When I was growing up, we had a thriving steel industry, a thriving automobile industry. Electronics were just coming into their own. We were making most of the computers in the United States. All of those things hit when I graduated from college. All that stuff is gone now.
Yes.
We don't. You can't just walk out and get a job in manufacturing. We don't make anything anymore, and that's a problem unless we can figure out how to create some more productive ways of living, and I mean that's basically the way the structure of my book. It's like we could do this. We could do this tomorrow. The first third of the book is about what a utopian environment would look like. It would be really, really easy for somebody like Bill Gates or Warren Buffett to take a couple $1 billion and invest in this kind of a project and have experiments throughout the country of people who don't have to worry about paying rent, don't have to worry about where their food's going to come from, don't have to worry about anything except going to work and doing what nature intended for them to do.
Creating something and employing
Right.
other people and putting this all together. So if you had to change anything, which I know that you're trying to change an awful lot in this world by your brain and your mind, but if you had to change something that really would satisfy you, and you feel that, and I know you've accomplished a lot, but even something more that you could accomplish, what would you like to sort of change of what you're seeing right now in the world?
Well, not a week goes by that I don't get a letter from somebody that says, when can I come work at someplace else? And my reply to them is always, well, as soon as I win the $200 million in the lottery, I'll go build it. And, that's my goal. I mean, if I can get funded to build the blueprint that's outlined in my book, I'm going to go do that. I think it's a worthwhile experiment, and it's doable. We have the technology. We have everything we need to make it happen.
Explain the technology. I didn't think you explained that.
In terms of the technology, well, there's the society is completely self-contained, powered primarily by solar and wind, yes. With only emergency backup generator type things in case they need them. All of that is and it is, if you pour water in one end for consumption, it comes out the other end as clean as it came in, if not cleaner. And we actually have right across the street from me here is an Intel facility, and that they do that exactly that. They bring in tons and tons of water, gallons and gallons of water, to do their processes, but they treat it, and the water that comes out the other side is cleaner than the water that came in the front end.
So they purify it.
Yeah.
They have a system that purifies it. So
yeah,
you
in the old days, in the steel mill industry, they were dumping stuff into the lake. You know, okay, well, we got all this tailings and all this stuff. We'll just dump it in the lake. We don't care. But Intel is saying, look, water is a resource, and let's not waste it.
Well, yeah, well, that's they keep saying that. I mean, there's many places that have, this water problem. I live in Vegas, and we always seem to have a water problem, and because of the hotels and everything. But I guarantee that we'll never run out of water as long as we got the hotels here. These gambling places, they will make sure we got plenty of water. But it's when you look at the general public out there, so that's what you would like to change. Any message out there for also our viewers that feel that they would something simplistic that they could change in their life that would start the ball rolling of them once they did one thing, they would start sort of changing something else. Any particular way they could start that?
I'll go back to the perspective statement. Change your perspective. If you're sitting down, it might be as simple as that. You're sitting down, you're laying down, you're in well, stand up, look around, look in a different direction. Just change your perspective and just consider it. You don't necessarily have to go in that direction or doing it, but just change your perspective for a little while, see what comes of that, and I'll bet you'll say, oh, I never thought of it that way.
And that's like changing the furniture in your house. You change the furniture in your house. You change, instead of getting up every morning at 7 o'clock, get up at 7:30, get up at 8. Go to bed at 9 or go to bed at 10 and change things up. And I think, you're right. When people get into this rut of their life, and I think that's the whole problem. And that's a lot of people can't help because they have to be at work at 9 and they leave at 5 or 6. So they have to get into this routine. I have to go to bed at 10 o'clock because I have to be at work by 9. So, a lot of that is sort of hard. But even then they can change that.
Yes. Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective, and all I can tell you is in my life when difficulties have occurred, when something has happened, I have done exactly that. I've looked at it differently. I've said, well, okay, I must have been looking at that wrong. Let me go look at it this way, and sometimes I'll look at it a different way, and well, that's not right, and I'll try 2 or 3 or 4 different things, and it's like, you know what, this seems right. And if it is, it'll just fall right into place, and you'll know it, and away you'll go.
So what you're saying is, don't be afraid of making a mistake.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We all feel like, oh, can't do that, because none of us like to really move too far, just in case if we make a mistake, we don't want to be seen that we're stupid, or we don't want to be seen, so a lot of us stay as we are because we think that's the right way, and it is not the right way.
Well, when I was in high school, I had a basketball coach, and his philosophy was, you never miss the same shot twice. So it's okay if you miss it the first time, but if you're in the exact same situation again, know what you did wrong and adjust.
And readjust it. So what about parents bringing up their young children now? Because they say that everything's formed by the time you're 5 years old, your brain is formed and everything is formed, and you're going to sort of... So if they wanted to sort of change that so they could sort of have a super kid, like bringing a kid up like you, how would they do that? Oh, you're super... No, you're not Superman, you're Maverick. Yes, Mr. Maverick. Yes, you are Mr. Maverick.
My wife and I have had a lot of discussions about this, and my parents, my father was more interested in hanging out with his brothers than hanging out with his kids. My mom, bless her heart, she went to work in the 50s, late 50s, early 60s, when women weren't supposed to be working. Because my father wasn't making enough money, and she said, hey, we want certain things for my kids, I'm going to go to work. And so she did, and she worked, and what was kind of cool about that was it allowed other women in the same situation to go to work, because, well, Betty's doing it,
I can do it.
If she can do it, you got to let me do it, because Betty did it, and so that was really nice. But I was very much, I was the middle child. My older brother, forged all of the paths of the things that you were supposed to do. I was behind. I didn't want to do anything that he was doing, and so I became very independent at a very early age, and I just followed my own maverick tendencies. Um, there's a Swedish word for it. I can't think of it right now, but it's basically I am the maverick. Is whatever the Swedish word is for maverick. I am that of my family, and
Hmm.
every family has them, um, and that's. I think it's more valuable to instill in your children a sense of independence, a sense that yes, I can do these things, and as much as the parent wants to protect them, you got to say, okay, you go ahead. You go ahead. We'll catch you if you fall, but you got to try it. You got to try it on your own, and instill in them that sense of I can do these things. I am old enough to do this. I can wash the dishes. I can take out the garbage. I can uh, go stand up to the coach and tell him that this isn't the way I want to play the game, and if this is the way, and let the kid experiment and find their own way, and never miss the same shot twice. You just tell them, and I think that's a good way to do it, and that's pretty much the way we raised our kids. My daughters have both totally embraced the maverick concept. Both of them are out there doing stuff that women just didn't do,
Yeah.
and they're
Good for
doing
you.
very well at it.
Good for
My son, on the other hand, is kind of more reserved and less likely to take risks and travel outside the norm and break the rules. But they were both raised. All three of them were raised the same way. So
But they all took on their own persona. They all took on their own being. They all took on their own thing. So there's nothing wrong with your son. That's just how he is, and that's
oh
just
yeah,
how
absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, my son is brilliant too. I mean, he's just an absolute genius.
what he has to
But
be. Is from you. Come on.
but he got a degree in philosophy, and he works at Wells Fargo Bank, and he's just happy doing that, and he just
He's
goes
happy
in,
as
he's
a
got
lark.
his
But
routine,
someone,
and then
someone has to work at the bank, so
yeah,
so
yep.
everybody's made for something. But I think the message you gave for the younger generation is parents out there, hey, start encouraging your children. Don't keep saying, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, no, you can't do this. And as you said, Barry, you will catch them, and you are a parent or whoever, and you will catch them. And as long as they know they can make that extra sort of yard, and they can actually speak their own mind, and they can actually try it. They know in their brain that someone's out there to catch them, and I think that's an incredible message. On that, I think we've sort of kind of come to our time again. Unfortunately, it's gone by awfully fast.
Oh,
Barry Lindstrom has been amazing. I hope my audience out there have learned a lot. I know that I have, and at last I've met a real maverick. You are a true maverick,
well,
and I
thank
love
you.
what you've kind of done what you wanted to do. You've done it your way, and you've probably had a lot of things thinking, well, I probably shouldn't do that. At the same time, you also took responsibility of taking care of your family. So I think you kind of tied the whole thing together, and I think that's amazing. And I want to thank you so much for coming on my show. It was amazing. To my audience out there, this is Ninon de Verderosa on Ninon Speaks Media Image. I will see you next week. We have a fabulous young gentleman. He's only 12 years old, and he's a singer, baritone, of course, and he's just amazing at 12 years old. So we will see you next week, Barry. Thank you again for coming on. You've been amazing. Take care.
Thank you. It was
Thank
great.
you. I loved it. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hi, Steve.